Welcome to part 5. We are going to study some of the important characters of Shakespeare plays. Caliban is a character in Tempest which begins with the shipwreck of a remote Mediterranean island. Prospero and his 15-year-old daughter Miranda are watching it. Prospero tells Miranda for the first time how they came to be on the island. 12 years before, when he had been Duke of Milan, his brother Antonio had assured his kingdom, but he had escaped in a small boat with his baby daughter and library of books about science and magic. He had ended up the island, and Prospero had turned the only inhabitant, Caliban, a deformed and savage creature, into his slave. Caliban is unusually seen as an important character in post-colonial studies now, but he is usually seen as a monster and portrayed on the stage as something less than human being. He is a dangerous and unworthy character. He is undisciplined, and it is impossible to discipline him, and Prospero has undertaken the job and refines him. He cannot be reasoned with, and he is in a state of perpetual rebellion. He therefore has to be disciplined by force, and Prospero uses magic to control him. Whenever Caliban begins to at dangerous, Prospero causes crippling pains throughout his body to stop him. The next one is Claudius. Claudius is a character in Shakespeare's play Hamlet. He is one of the Shakespeare's most manipulative characters. We tend to think that Hamlet is all about a prince, but it is a play with a full cast of characters, all interacting intricately with one another. Claudius is without doubt the second character in Hamlet. The substance of all drama is the playing out of the human relationship, and the action of Hamlet is mainly concerned with the relationship between Hamlet and Claudius. On the story level, the two play a cat and mouse game with each other. On the death of his father, the King of Denmark, the young Prince Hamlet returns from university to the Danish court, and only to find out that his father's brother Claudius has not only married to make himself not sorry Claudius has not only managed to make himself a king, but also has married his brother's widow, that is Hamlet's mother Gertrude. It is a giddy situation. Everything is happening fast. Hamlet is turned into a kind of a sullen mood. So Claudius is a smooth-tongued, self-assured, and convincing man, an experienced politician. Falstaff is another character that all of us should understand. Sir John Falstaff is one of Shakespeare's most popular characters. He was in Shakespeare's time, and even subsequently over the next 400 years, the most popular villain known in Shakespeare's plays. He is undoubtedly the most famous comic character in all English drama too. Shakespeare and his audience enjoyed Falstaff so much that Shakespeare placed him in 4 plays, although in The Merchant Merry Wives of Windsor in a different context and time and place than in Henry the Fourth Part 1, Part 2, Part 2 and Henry the Fifth. In The Merry Wives of Windsor, Falstaff is a different person, but he is in all respects the same, fat, vulgar, disgusting old man. In other words, the same character. Desdemona. She is one of the most pitiable victims in all of Shakespeare's plays. A devoted, loving wife, she is murdered by her husband in a fit of jealous mood. Othello is all about a kind of the relationship between the husband and wife. Othello is about many things, but one of the important themes is the racial relationship between Venetian and the Moor. The eponymous character Othello is a Moor. Although he is a highly accomplished and experienced general and the head of Venice army, he is subjected to racial abuse. Brabantio's daughter Desdemona had listened to the stories of Othello and fallen in love with this Moor. She is beautiful, intelligent, educated young woman with multiple suitors, but well guarded by her father. Her response to Othello, the dangers he has encountered and overcome, shows her to have a tender heart and a great capacity for empathy. Friar Laurence. Friar Laurence is a key character in Romeo and Juliet. He is a Franciscan monk who lives on his own in his humble shack in the countryside near Verona. He is a kind of a doctor, gathering herbs from which he makes medicines for various conditions. He is well known in and around Verona, including among the teenagers of the town, and is someone they know as a friend who understands young people, always available to advise and help them. As a character, Lawrence gets caught in the fast developing tragedy of the two teenagers' star-crossed love affair. Friar Lawrence is a kind, compassionate, thoughtful, and deeply concerned about the feud that is blighting what is otherwise prosperous or beautiful town. Lady Macbeth. Lady Macbeth is probably Shakespeare's most famous and vivid female character. Everyone, whether they have read or seen Macbeth as a play, has a view of Lady Macbeth. She is generally depicted in a very popular mind as the epitome of evil, and images of her appear over and over again in several cultures. She is usually portrayed in pictures as something like a Disney character, a cross between devils and the wicked stepmother in Snow White. The next character is Lysander. Lysander is a character in Shakespeare's Midsummer's Night Dream, one of the four lovers involved in love quadrangle made up of Lysander, Demetrius, Hermia, and Helena. Lysander is a young Athenian. He is in love with Hermia, the daughter of Aegeus, an Athenian nobleman. She is in love with him too, but her father has chosen another man for her to marry, another handsome young Athenian, namely Demetrius. She cannot stand Demetrius and swears she will not marry him. However, her friend Helena is in love with Demetrius. Demetrius is not interested at all. So what we have at the start of the story is two young men in love with Hermia, one of them having his love returned, and the second young woman out in the cold being disregarded by the man she is in love with. Next character is Malvolio. Malvolio is a steward, kind of a chief of the staff of a wealthy lady, Olivia. She has a large household, the sole, the, uh, the sole aim of living kind of wealthy life. Among the servants, there are a few characters that could be remembered, and one of them is Toby Belch, a court jester. Malvolio appears very cynical throughout this particular play, and he is characterized throughout as a puritanical, fun, spoiling, pompous, humorless man. He is a snob, jealous of his status as the head of the household. He is an inflated opinion of himself and considers himself to be perfect. At the same time, he has no idea of how to deal with the people. Mercutio. Mercutio is Romeo's best friend and they are very close. He is related to Prince and not a member of either feuding family. He does not take sides, but because of his friendship with the Montague family, Romeo, he hangs out with the Montagues. He is highly intelligent, witty, sophisticated, well educated, and also faithful and very funny. He is admired by all young men who gravitate towards Romeo and his cousin Benvolio, and he entertains them with his wit and his madcap antics. The next set of characters, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Once again, I would say Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are also an important characters in, though they are very minor characters, an important character in Hamlet. They are the fellow students of Hamlet at the University of Wittenberg, and Claudius is very suspicious and afraid of the young prince. Therefore, he sends these two young men to spy Hamlet. Hamlet welcomes them warmly, appreciates their visit until he realizes that they have been sent for to spy on him and report back to the king. The result that results in some of the play's most amusing moments as he goads them and ties them up in knots as they seek to throw him off the scent. The two spies are ultimately unsuccessful in their mission, and it is part of their anonymity that they are ineffective and feeble. In the style of a box set sequel, Tom Stoppard made his name 1966 with a play called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. It's a play by Tom Stoppard. So Shakespeare's characters Rosencrantz and Guildenstern have inspired Tom Stoppard to name one of his plays. Then Iago. Iago is a character in Shakespeare's play Othello. He is a senior officer in the Venetian army under the command of its general Othello. Iago is very popular among the characters in the play. He is valued for his loyalty, and there is a consensus that he is very honest and straightforward. And in fact, he is repeatedly greeted as honest Iago and spoken of with the same language. All the main characters turn to him for help and advice with their problems. And that is the advantage that he capitalizes to manipulate the action against the Othello. The action centers on the plot against Othello, and as it advances, the other characters are all drawn in. Othello, a black man, has gained the love of Desdemona, the daughter of a wealthy citizen. They marry in secret, and although that is frowned upon by the city authorities, Othello is a military hero. Venice is in a deep trouble. Therefore, Othello is the only man who can rescue Venice from the Turks' attack. Therefore, they allowed him to marry Desdemona, which Iago did not like. Therefore, Iago plots against Othello and Desdemona and have finally Othello to kill Desdemona. That is exactly happens in the play. Cordelia. Cordelia is one of the pitiable characters in King Lear, the youngest daughter of Lear. The play opens with Lear, the king of Britain, an old man now gathering his family and the court around him to make a momentous announcement. He has decided to retire. He is going to divide the kingdom into three parts and award the sections of it to his three daughters, each one receiving her portion according to how much she loves him. That is a queer desire that he had. He wants to know how much the daughters love him. The two older daughters Goneril and Regan try to outdo each other in their flattery and declarations of love for old man. When he turns to the youngest and the favorite Cordelia and asks her what she has to say, her reply is nothing. In fact, the word nothing is often repeated in the play Lear, and Lear is exasperated in saying nothing, nothing comes out of nothing. That means since you don't have anything, nothing comes out of your mind. So it's a very famous statement that is being used in Lear. And he is astonished and asks her again to speak. She explains that she has a duty towards him as a daughter and she loves him according to only that bond, the bond between the daughter and the parent, the duty as a child, towards her father, which Lear did not understand and ultimately, ends in tragedy for him. She is a very modest yet a bold character that places her among Shakespeare's strong women, asserting herself in the cause of truth, while at the same time doing it with calmly and quietly, without any kind of drama. She is firm and loving. Later, when Lear is cast out by the two elder daughters, far from being critical of her father's folly, she, Cordelia, leads the French army to Britain to regain what her father has foolishly lost.